Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater, coming to you from Studio A here at Sweetwater with a special guest, Toni Fishman. Great to see you.
Glad to have us back.
Yeah, glad to have you back here as well. So the man behind Telefunken, and now the man behind Fairchild.
It's been an incredible couple of years of developed relationships to bring this to fruition.
Yeah, an amazing piece of gear. And we're going to listen to some examples. The story is so fascinating because it actually dates back to Les Paul.
Yeah.
And Rain Narma building a mixer for Les Paul and Les wanting a compressor they could use.
Yeah.
So quite a story that goes back to the 50s, right?
Absolutely. My background a little bit with microphones and recording studios and whatnot. I was really lucky to work at Power Station for a short time as an intern there. Through some sessions there, I saw my first Elam 251, and a bit later on got familiar with Fairchild, and always really thought it was a fascinating piece of equipment and so sought after. Unobtainium is a word that I use with a lot of microphone parts over the years, and I just did things a little differently. When I couldn't get it anymore, I decided to go make it, in being thorough and making sure that I could establish use in commerce. And I learned an awful lot with Telefunken in trademark and how to vigorously enforce a trademark and bring the brand back. It was through a series of coincidence, really, that Fairchild is back. Big shout out to Avid. They have the registration for their Fairchild plugin. Sort of in the middle of the project, I called them and said, hey, you might know my microphone company, Telefunken. We're thinking about making a Fairchild. We'd really like it to call it Fairchild. I said, do you have any plans to do anything in the analog domain with a name? And they said, no. What a fabulous idea. Just tell people about our plugin who can't have the means to buy a historic recreation of the original. Much in the same way, I was able to reverse engineer some of the classic microphones through great friendships. We started in with transformers, which led to Telefunken being able to help source some of the tubes, and the rest sort of is history. Over the pandemic, without having as many interruptions with the trade show schedule and whatnot, the little bit of extra time, downtime we had because the sound stage and studio operations kind of slowed, was able to really concentrate on this, and I'm really proud that it's completely faithful in every way. The architecture and how it's all point to point, the same turret style construction as the vintage original. We really think we have the best
recreation. Oh yeah.
To date, I think people will really like it when they get a chance to hear it. And we're excited to be shipping this now. This coming NAMM, there'll be another surprise, I guess, where we have the 660.
The single channel version.
That should be received very well. Slightly more affordable, slightly smaller size, but built again historically correct with the same DNA and architecture.
There's some fascinating just details that you've delved into with this. You mentioned the transformers that are so critical to the sound, but you mentioned the 660. There are actually some tube differences between the 670 and the 660.
There are some slight differences in the tubes used in 660 and 670. I'd like to focus the conversation on the 670 since we have it here. The 660 is still in development,
right?
And there are some tubes there that are also hard to get a hold of.
Sure.
But I can tell you that I will do everything in my power to make sure that we do it as faithfully as possible.
Right.
And hopefully there'll be developments in the future where we'll be able to maybe bring back some very famous tubes.
Well, this is a fascinating compressor. It can do everything from compression to limiting, and some of the characteristics of this that really set it apart are the really fast attack time.
Yeah.
And the way that it's set up with the high control voltages so that you don't get pumping effects and you don't get the thumping kind of effects. For the time, coming out in 1959, I mean, fascinating technology in that they were able to achieve that, and you've brought that all back here.
Basically two push-pull style circuits, and a very new, the 6386 tube. It's just something different about it and magical. In my quest for listening to vintage originals, they all sounded a little different, and they all were in varying states with different tech work or different tubes replaced or different signs of age, some restored, some original. To hear it again fresh, it's startling how smooth and, I hate to say a better maker, but it really is special on just about anything.
Right.
It's got a smoothness and a musicality that, you know, all these tubes create a great tone.
Yeah, right, right. The other interesting thing about it is that it is two completely separate compressors in one chassis, and they had some very interesting approaches here, because one of the applications for this that it was designed for was mastering LP, mastering vinyl.
Sure, it was.
So they had the vertical amplitude,
Yeah,
and then
yeah. For the azimuth, for the cutting head, for making records on lathes.
Mm-hmm.
This particular unit can be used in both the right-left or in the lateral vertical. Would be great to actually see this used with a cutting lathe again in the future. Look forward to maybe doing some demonstrations of it being used in different capacities other than just your standard mix bus or individual instrument.
Let's get to listening to some of the examples,
Sure.
because I think that's really where obviously this is going to shine. And there's just some fascinating applications for this. For example, George Martin has always said that the sound of the drums for the Beatles was, they had 12 of these, right? At EMI that they were...
Yeah, I think the 660
12 of those,
is
yeah.
more Beatles, and the 670 came later. I know Paul McCartney has, I think in his studio, 2 660s and 1 670.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, they just did that new track, and in the video for that, if you look really careful, it's really cool. They kind of pan across the room, and there all of a sudden there's just a few seconds where you see their rack of Fairchild in the studio. Nice. I caught that recently when that song came out, but amazing what the technology has come to today of being able to reverse engineer just about anything, I guess.
And just do a totally faithful recreation. Let's listen to some examples.
Absolutely.
So Toni, you've brought a variety of things for us to listen to here. We've got different musical styles. These were all recorded at your soundstage, right? With Telefunken microphones, it's all live.
Yes, all recordings from our Live from the Lab series on YouTube.
Just discussing a little bit about the way that the 670 is set up. It's at factory specs, which means that it's about a 3-to-1 ratio, is that right?
Yeah. The original unit has, in the owner's manual, considering everything is the same, has a voltage setting for the DC offset voltage. Generally, I think it's pin 8 from the EL34 tube to the bus wire, and you would put a meter on there and basically adjust the DC offset voltage so that the meter would show 240 volts, and that's sort of the factory default setting.
Right.
And then, you know, by playing with the DC offset voltage, you can get it to be more noticeably crushing.
Right. But the beautiful thing about this is even when it's noticeably crushing, it's very transparent. I mean, this is designed to be a smooth mastering style compressor, and it's very simple to operate. We have input gain controls, and then we have a threshold for the compressor, and then we're basically setting the time constant, and that can be either very short to get the attacks and to get the release, or you can set that to very long, which again is going to smooth all that out as well. But no matter how hard you hit this, as we've been playing with it and we're going to demonstrate, it just stays amazingly transparent and smooth. So let's go back here. We'll start with the first track, and we'll listen to the full mix that we've got set up here. And I've got it set so that we can hear. Here's the dry mix.
Right here. What do you need? I've got plenty here for you and me. Childish sister, help us lift up your name. Please, please lead us, show us how we can change it. We've got our demons and we've got our dreams, but it's so much better when we're on the same team.
So what's amazing to me there is that we're hitting somewhere around 7 dB of compression on that mix, and as we switch back and forth, I'm balancing as close as I can here. Really transparent, but we're actually hitting that pretty hard, and I've got it set at the end there. I had it set for the number 2 setting, which I think you told me is 0.8 seconds. Is that right?
Yeah,
something like that.
0.3, 0.8, and then it goes to like 2.
Quite long. So we're getting a lot of compression, but it's not like it's just crushing and squashing and staying amazingly transparent. Let's listen to it on some drums from that same track. Once again, we're hitting that pretty hard, and in this case, I'm hearing that bottom end really get it bigger. I mean, obviously we're in a great monitoring environment here, but top end also is opening up, but we're squashing those pretty hard. We're hitting that 5 to 7 dB of gain reduction, and we're still just basically hearing the transparent signal from this. I think that's just so impressive.
Yeah, it's amazing, you know, how smooth and musical it sounds, how quiet.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, again, for 1950s technology, you know, it performs so well, really up to audiophile specs these days. Yeah. Well, let's listen to some more. Let's go over here. We've got a rock track. Again, let's go to the full mix, and we'll start there.
Got the words, but I can't speak. It hurts, but I'm happy. Can't keep driving from the backseat, backseat, backseat. All my shame has washed away. Left me endless, I play. I got pain, I got remedies. I see writing on the wall. I'm not done making memories. And I can't be old. I got friends, I got enemies. Just a little something.
So there we've got that longer time constant on it. You can hear it's grabbing just a little bit more, starting to give you a little bit more of that squash sound. But we're hitting it hard, somewhere around 10 dB of gain reduction going on with that full mix, and it's still transparent. I'd like to hear it on this track. On the let's hear it on the guitar. See if we can find a spot here where it's coming in pretty heavy. Let's go back here. So we're not compressing heavily there, but here's where you're really hearing just the thickness that it's added. There's a little bit of a volume change there, but I'm hearing that thickness in the lower mid-range of the bottom end of the guitar come up, as well as just that pick attack, especially when we set a little bit longer time constant, letting that transient gets through. That's a great sound on that guitar. Let's step over here to this is more of an indie folk. We've got the full mix here.
Try to do right by your body, but your body says it can't make up its mind. Sing the song well, your body, but the melody is changing all the time. So you stand at the window, put the bar across the door, and fold up your arms. Yeah, waiting, but I cannot go. I do not know how.
Boy, even with, I mean, we were hitting it down almost at 20 dB of gain reduction there, and obviously you can hear that. That's a lot of gain reduction. considering how much gain reduction that is, that's just amazingly smooth.
NAMM, it was past the April, and now we got a chance to listen to it in a bunch of studios in Los Angeles and in Nashville. And when I was in Nashville, a friend of mine played Ocean Way string section, and I had a moment with this that I still think, like, you know, it's one thing hearing this in a really beautiful room, but this was my friend's kind of basement studio, and there was some great treatment there, but really nothing over the top. And we got such great results on strings with it that I've never heard anything like that. Depending on the genre of music, I mean, it really adds a nice smoothness.
Yeah.
You can be really creative with this and use it in a lot of different ways.
There's one more thing I want to listen to. I want to go back to this first track, and I'd like to hear vocals through it. So let's jump back here. I'm going to take us back down to our vocal track. All right, and here we'll start with the dry.
Ooh, hey, so much more to learn. Right here. Brother, tell me, what do you need? I've got plenty here for you and me. Shouted sister, help us lift up your name. Please, please lead us, show us how we can change it. We've got our demons and we've got our dreams, but it's so much better when we're on the same team. You take the lead and I'll take your hand. Help me better understand.
So in that case, in addition to that smoothness, I am hearing it beef up the sound a little bit. And it's also opening that top up, adding just a little bit of a sheen on top. That's really fantastic on this particular vocal. I mean, it makes the track sound finished. I guess that's the way I describe what I'm hearing here in the room as we run these tracks through.
It's polishes really in a remarkable way. Everybody who's heard it has really loved the way it sounds, and you know, has either wanted one or wanted to steal it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I'm kind of wishing I could take this home with me, but I probably not.
Yeah, it's really fabulous piece of equipment, and we'll really be able proud to have be able to bring it back faithfully.
Yeah, man, I just so appreciate the chance to actually get to put ears on a real Fairchild. What a fantastic experience, man. I desperately want one.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We'll be shipping hopefully about 20 more the end of January.
Right.
And of course the first 20 660s will be hatching just around then.
Nice.
Yeah, excited to get them out into the world, and fantastic opportunity for us working with Sweetwater again.
Well, we so appreciate you coming in here. I can't wait to hear what people do with the 670 and of course 660 as well when that becomes available, but I think it's going to really be fun to hear what happens when these get out in the world. Fantastic. Thanks so much, Toni. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Mitch.
You bet. And thank you for joining us today. If you have questions about the 670, you want to learn more about the details about it, jump over to sweetwater.com for all the information, or better yet, contact your Sweetwater sales engineer. They'll be happy to fill you in. Thanks for joining me in Studio A here at Sweetwater. I'm Mitch Gallagher.